It's a new week in the Crew Motorfest, and this week's theme is called Crown Jewels, and this is my summit guide. Let's go. All right, starting out with the cars. There's only one car to buy this week in the bundle, and it is the Aston Martin Vantage, the 2024. It's a brand new car to Motorfest. It is new as of this week. Now, the bundle, quote unquote, is a little bit tricky. If you go to the store and you go to the bundle price, it's going to show you only the CCs. It's not going to let you buy it for regular bucks. So you have to actually find the Vantage in the store under Aston Martin. So go to the store, go to your filters, go to Aston Martin, and then you can buy it for bucks. It's 525,000 bucks for this one. I would say it's pretty worth it. The car seems pretty decent. I'm going to do some testing on it when I can, but I think it's pretty all right. Anyways, that is it for the cars. There's no additional vehicles you're going to need this week. You're going to be using this basically for every event that's not a loaned event. There are a couple other cars, but they're loaned, so no worries there. All right, as far as the part sets go, you're going to need a nitrochemist set with pure and frenetic for the speed trap. This is highly required for this speed trap because it is a wild one, and we'll get into that later on in the video. You're also going to need a nitrochemist set with pure and extra pump for the races, and then finally you're going to need a score breaker set with pure and skilled as your affixes for the slalom this week. All right, here are the rewards for the week. We've got 100,000 XP, 100,000 bucks, the Noble M500, which by the way is in the meta. The Noble M500 is the meta car for top speed highway routes on the hypercar section in grand races, so this is a good car to grab. And then for the platinum reward, the Epic Engineer Smoke. And I don't think I have this one, so I can't show it to you, but these are the rewards here. All right, before we get into this first event, you have to know something about this week. All 6 events feature a modifier called clean driving. That means if you touch anything besides the road, you're going to be deducted points. And the points that are being deducted are very steep. So it pays to stay on the road this week. This week, there's not very many shortcuts. There's a couple that you can do, and I'm going to show you those. But there's not very many, because even if you touch like a simple like light pole or like one of the bigger bushes, not the small ones, but the big ones that reduce your speed, they deduct points from you. So you got to try to stay on the road as much as you can. You really can't even use the gutters too much, because most of the gutters have checkpoint flags in the middle of the gutter. If you hit a checkpoint flag, you get a huge reduction in points. So that's the first thing. So I'm not gonna have a lot of comments in terms of like the overall shortcuts, and I think there are going to be some of you people that struggle this week to get platinum. So anyways, let's go through this first event. I'm just going to fast forward to the spots that I know for a fact that you can cut, or you know, the lines that you can take. The first one here at 5%, just make sure you avoid a couple of things. Avoid all the light poles, avoid the flags, and go straight across. Don't hit the checkpoint flag when you exit. Here at 73%, you can go through the grass here. I go after this tree here. These little ones don't hurt you. The big tree will, and the light post will. So go through here. Careful of the light post on that side. I'll save you a little bit of time, maybe a second or so. And that's actually it. So let's move on. All right, for this next race, I strongly recommend doing this with a slipstream partner. This particular race is mostly highways, mostly high speed. So if you have a slipstream partner, that's going to be the most beneficial to you. It made the difference for me of about, I think about 10 seconds or so, which is crazy to think of, but it's a huge difference. I don't know if it was actually 10 seconds, but close to that. Anyways, a lot of points difference here just by simply having a slipstream partner. I know that's not fair necessarily, because there are a lot of people that play the game in solo, but you know, in season 8 there might be some things, some tools that'll help you out in terms of finding other players. So anyways, there's really nothing to this. There's not really any shortcuts or anything. Let me just fast forward just to be sure. Nope, no shortcuts. Stay on the road. Don't even use the gutters on this race, because there's little tiny flashlight things that you hit and it deducts points. So that's it. Let's move on. All right, the next race, there are a couple of things you can do. So let me fast forward to those. All right, coming up here at about 52%, you cut left right after these cylinder objects here, and to the left the checkpoint. Make sure you do not hit the checkpoint flag. All right, this turn at 90%, you can take a little bit slower than I did, so you don't hit that. And then right about here, you can actually cut across this grass. There's not really anything in your way. You should go right after this flag, right after this checkpoint flag. You can go across the grass, and it's hard to show here, but you can basically go right through these trees. Just miss this trash can, miss the checkpoint flag, go right across, and then connect with the road over there. It's going to be faster. I forgot it when I was going through here, but I remembered it just afterwards. But aside from that, you just have to stay on the road. So all right, let's move on. All right, next race, this one is very rough. You're going to be using that 2024 Vantage on this one. the number of shortcuts in this race is crazy, but you can't really take all of them as fast or as smooth as you used to because you have to worry about the clean driving. So let me fast forward and show you what I'm talking about. All right, as you're approaching this next checkpoint, you're gonna reset at the checkpoint, and then you're gonna cut to the left off-road. So watch what I do here. So we get to the checkpoint, reset, then cut to the left. Now you have to avoid everything. You can't hit anything here. Notice I just barely missed that pole. This big tree, no problem there on the small tree. Avoid all the big trees. Then you got to go through the checkpoint and avoid these trees here. Go in between. And then avoid these trees here. Go in between. Now, when you get to this part, you got to go left and get on the road. You got to watch out for the fence. Then you have a fence here. You can actually go through the fence. Just go, you know, fairly slow there. I didn't mean to go that slow, but the slower you go, the less points you get deducted. Trade-off is not really there to go as slow as I went. You can just go through that fence. You're going to get deducted a little bit of points, but the speed that you make up for it is better. So go through the fence. Then you go across here. There's nothing here except for when you get out, those flags, which I did hit that flag. Now, the rest of this race is survival because there's a lot of spots that you can actually hit something and get deducted points. So the gutters are pretty safe. You got to watch out for these things that come out into the road and these guys here. And don't hit the flag as well. See how I barely missed the flag there? Again, they came out on the road here. And yeah, that's basically it. All right, let's move on. All right, the next race is actually pretty tough. So for this one, the name of the game is your NOS management, where you're using your NOS and you know, this drift turn at the very beginning here. So I'm going to show you lap 2. But basically, you go into this and you drift this turn so that you can get over that little railroad or whatever that was without, you know, too many problems. You're going to blast a lot of NOS here, then slow down and take this corner as tight as you can to these red cones in between this thing and the flag. Slow down to take this corner as tight to those cones as possible. NOS here. A lot of NOS through this section. Downshift and go as tight to these red cones as possible. Try to control yourself across the dirt. Again, stay tight to the red cones. And then miss the flag, NOS in, and you can actually see that these end here. So swing on over into the dirt and then control yourself going like that. That's basically the lap. If you can do that 3 times in a row, you'll be all right. All right, this one is stupid. You literally can't hit the walls. So that's what you're trying to do. Trying to get through this race without hitting the walls. You want to keep your clean driving bonus. And there's not really anything I can tell you. There's no tricks to it. That's it. Don't hit the walls. All right, let's move on to the feats. All right, this is the escape. For the escape, you're going to be going basically the opposite way of which you spawn. So here's some suggestions. Make sure you hit that gutter. Use your NOS, and then you're going to go through the escape and hit this little jump here. Use your NOS in the air. Head like basically towards this big tree, because once you hit the embankment, it kind of pushes you to the right. And then use a little bit of NOS there. And as soon as you hit this little like dog hut thing or trail marker, whatever this is, you cut over to the right and try to get yourself into this gutter. Then you're gonna be going downhill, so make sure you get into 7th and 8th and blast the NOS. Make sure you're going pretty quickly down this hill, as fast as you can down this hill. When you get to the on-ramp to the highway, you're gonna take that and go on the highway, which is right here, the right on this one. Stay on the highway here, and then when you get to the bottom of this highway, you can jump off into the ocean. You want to get here as soon as you possibly can. I just went straight here and use this jump as well to get as far as possible. And that's how you do it. All right, the slalom is pretty easy. The slalom is just having score breaker. You have a score breaker set of parts, you're gonna get a full score. If you don't, you need to do it as, you know, as fast as you possibly can without missing any of the pylons. But if you can just re-affix everything to skilled, even if you have purple parts, you don't have any legendary parts, if you re-affix everything to skilled and put the max percentage, you're gonna get a much better score. All right, let's move on. All right, I saved the best for last. I know you guys are gonna get really upset in the comments because this speed trap in particular is probably one of the worst ones in the game. Like, to get a really good score on this, you have to really do some crazy stuff in order to do it with Street 2. It's even by my standards, this is way too much. All right, so you're welcome to just hit this normally. You'll get like, I don't know, 240 miles an hour or something, 237. If you have a slipstream partner, you get maybe a little bit more. But in order to get anywhere near 300, you have to hit this by jumping. There's only two ways to do it. You can do the mountain that's immediately to your, like, basically straight ahead of you, but to the left, like here. If you just go straight off road to the left, go up to the peak, come down and try to jump into the speed trap. That one was really hard for me. And then Rhino the Raccoon came into my chat and showed me a little bit of a different method, but this requires some quick button pressing. So this is going to be challenging either way. All right, so let me show you what to do. Basically, I prefer the second method, but you're more than welcome to jump off of that mountain. It's crazy. So here's what we got to do. So you turn around, go back this way. You see these curvy roads here on the mini map. You're going to go up those roads. So go up here, up these curvy roads, turn around, and then when you get to the edge of the green circle, obviously turn around. Now here's where the tricky parts come in. So you're going to be dumping your NOS on the way to this jump. Okay, dump as much as you can to get to here. Okay, you're going to jump off this hill all the way to the speed trap. You can see it there in the mini map. You're going to jump off this hill all the way to the speed trap. That's the goal. In order to do that, you need to refill your NOS right before the jump. And to do that, there's currently a glitch or exploit where if you open up your menu and then close it really quickly, you get a full tank of NOS. Okay, so basically you go through here. I'll just show you what this looks like. Open your menu and close it. You see how fast I did it? Gives you a full tank of NOS. And you need that full tank of NOS when you hit the jump, otherwise you can't make this jump. And make sure you just rewind if you don't hit it right. You got to go really far. When you hit this jump, you got to pull back on the car. Make the nose of the car go straight up. If you don't do that, you're definitely not going to make it. Okay? You got to do it. You got to hit it as fast as you possibly can. So I'm hitting it at 170, not getting anywhere close. The run that I finally get it on, I'm doing, I think, around 200 when I hit it. Let me see. Okay, here's the run here. So I backed all the way up. And then I used my NOS here. And then reset. Boom. Start to fly. And I got 300. You can do more than this. Guys are in like the 310, 315, 312 area. I'm sorry, guys, to tell you. I'm trying to not gatekeep these things. You guys are wondering, like, what happened? How did people get 300 miles an hour in a Street 2 car? These are the tricks you have to do. Right before you hit the jump, reset your NOS by pressing your menu button and then backing out of it. Menu, back out, NOS. It's very difficult to get that button press combo, but menu, back out, NOS. All right, that's it. See the final scores. All right, here are my final scores. If you have any questions about anything, don't hesitate to send me a DM. I respond to every single message that comes my way on Instagram and Discord. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. I will catch you on the next one. Trigger out.